Hello, guys. Welcome back. Somebody asked a really good question, so I'm going to answer them. I hope this is going okay. My equipment's going kind of crazy. I don't know if Loki's bored or it's just my equipment. Anyhow, they asked a bunch of questions. There's going to be no random order of the answer. As you guys know, if you ask questions, sometimes I answer in video form. I'll always answer in the comments, but sometimes if I think it warrants it, I'll answer in video form. But that's not a guarantee. It doesn't always happen. So here we go. Can you use a pendulum when you're starting out to talk to the gods? Honestly, you can. You can use a pendulum, you can ask for a sign, you can use, some people use music, some people use, I use Pinterest, I've told you guys that. Tarot cards, regular cards, anything you can think of, even something no one's ever done before. If it works for you and it helps you get communication going, you can. Again, as I've always told you guys, another trick to get the communication going is to, at night, when you're in bed, everything's turned off, your friend can't call you, somebody can't text you, everything's taken care of. You're going to be alone for the night, you're going to go to sleep. Imagine talking to the deity, imagine their answer, and if you do this enough each time before you go to sleep, eventually you may start to have dreams, and that's going to help open the communication. It is imagination at first, but it kind of jump starts that communication. So, they asked, how did it start for me? From what the person said, they had a pretty typical experience for, a lot of people that end up becoming pagans. We went to church as children. We really didn't fit in. We didn't like it. We didn't like the idea of only this God is real God and all the other gods are bad. And even as a little girl, I was like, no, that's not right. And, for me, it started pretty early because, as I've told you guys before, I know how crazy it sounds. At our church, we had like a lot of activity from the gods. I don't know why. I still don't to this day. But the Baron Samedi had been appearing to us children, decades before he was in popular culture, or at least to the awareness of children back then. And we would get in trouble because we would ask them who the skeleton saint was, and they wouldn't be happy. Our Bastet or somebody would show up, and you would just always feel this kind of calling. As a child, you just think you're interested in, and you like these gods and goddesses like Bastet and the Greek gods and that. Whoever you learned about, you always had like. We all have favorites. We tell the gods we don't, but you end up having a favorite or two. I go, hey, back here. And, it is a calling. You just don't realize it. No, you can be interested in a god or goddess and not have it be a calling, but it feels persistent. It feels persistent. And then, as I was growing up, I started to research these gods and goddesses. And my parents, of course, weren't going to let me worship another god or goddess, but I started out with, I believe Bastet was before anyone else. I would be talking to her, and this was before we had, I had access to any kind of magic books or ideas of people. I wanted to pray to her. I wanted Bastet to be my goddess instead of God, because Bastet would admit that there were other gods and goddesses, so that was a change in the right direction. So for me, it was pretty early. I always, in a way, had communication with the gods. Don't realize it until you're older. I'd say like junior high, high school. But I always had communication with the gods. And as for the demons, I grew up in a very Christian area, obviously, and stuff on how bad demons were everywhere, and I was always attracted to that, not as, evil, destructive. But I felt bad for them because nobody was listening to their side of the story. All we had was, God's side of the story, and we never had the demon side of the story, and I didn't think that was fair. I think I told my mom as a child that I wanted to become a lawyer so I could represent Satan, so somebody would hear his side. So it's been, not like physical contact. It's not like Satan came by every Sunday afternoon after church to have tea, but you feel the calling pretty on, and I think that's because they give you what you can handle as a child, and they give you what would be acceptable for you, because they really don't want to cause you a huge amount of trouble with your family. They are calling you because they can't help themselves, but they don't want it to be to the point where you try to like run away from home or something, or you start serving them and you aren't serving the other God. You know when you have a call to a God or not. The people that I have that are friends that are good Christians, they're called to their God. They love Him. They can't wait to go to church. The one couple I know goes to church like at least 3 times a week. Plus, they're in church social clubs. Everything is church, church, church. They're crazy for them. I feel nothing when I walk into a church unless it's sadness. So I think I got a lot of what their question was. I'm sure I missed some and I apologize, but it's, it's a thing of it doesn't really matter who we end up serving as long as we serve someone we love. Obviously, I'm pro Loki and pro Satan, but it really doesn't matter who we end up serving or how. To me, it's like if it works for you, then that's right. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. And they had talked about, and it's funny, Satan keeps popping up for me, and he didn't mind the game, by the way, last night. He was actually amused, though he keeps asking me if I want him to open doors for me since I said it in the game. Um, with Satan, what they said, it certainly sounds like it's, Satan coming forward for them, and that'll be good because he can be a good teacher. And there's, as you guys probably know, there's 2 basic ways of seeing him, and these are 2 basic ways you could go off from each way. One is that he was always an ever an old god, and some people will then use the names of other gods to say who he was. And the other idea is that he is indeed a fallen angel, and this is Christian approach to Satanism. And they just like him because they see him as a liberator, and they see him as a truth bringer, and they see him as a freedom fighter because he just basically said, no, I'm not going to listen. I'm going to go do my own thing, and I'm going to become better. And so, he fought for his freedom. And, then you can get into stuff like, do you see Lucifer and Satan as separate? I do. A lot of people don't. I respect that. It depends on what, you're comfortable with. So I hope that helped, and I hope that answers most of that person's questions. And I hope you guys are staying safe and healthy. We actually were watching, because let's admit it, we all looked at the memes already, the Corona beer memes. Corona beer has actually stopped production. So it was like, oh my god, the memes are coming true. So, I hope you guys are safe. I hope you guys are healthy. Just, ride this out, practice safety procedures. If you're an American, I'm sure you already know, but in case you haven't been watching the news because it's freaking you out, you are asked to, and it's going to become an official ask to wear some kind of facial covering when you go outside. It can be a scarf, it can be a handkerchief, it can be, if you have to do this, it can be that. It's an idea that some people can be passive carriers and you could possibly pick something up. It's more a thing of protecting other people than protecting you, because you're protecting people in case you're a passive carrier and stuff like that. Still practice your social distancing. Having that facial cover on does not, exclude social distancing, so at least 6 feet away, if hopefully. And I hope you guys are having a good one. Stay out of the parks, stay out of the churches, and I will see you guys later. Bye bye.